Good morning, everyone. Happy New Year. This is my first time going live in 2021. I am a little tardy. I'm usually like right on time for my live streams, but I'm just going to chalk it up to the new year. I'm actually going live like directly through YouTube, and I usually like connect another app to go live with. So it was a little bit of technical difficulties on my end, but I want to just say good morning again and welcome you to this live chat. So hopefully people are still going to join me. I am like 10 minutes late, but while I'm waiting for more people to pop in, I do see you coming already. Good morning, Tanya. I do want to say congratulations if you actually completed all 5 days of the challenge, meaning going through all of those worksheets and pulling out your statements for day 5, which was probably the toughest day. But I'm going to recap the challenge in a moment. But I want to just remind you all, if you didn't know and you have a Facebook, I actually created a Facebook private group for us to chat about any questions you had about the challenge or anything that you found was more of a struggle than what you planned. If you haven't done so, I think the link is in the first couple days. I kept saying, like, you can join the Facebook private group here. So go back to those old emails and join us in the private group now that the private Facebook group now that the challenge is over. Also, I'm going to be taking down those downloads soon. So I'll email you a final like thank you and FYI, but the links to the documents in the challenge will not be available forever. So if you're watching this and you're like, I made it to day 3, but I was too busy to get done with day 4 and day 5, I want to remind you right now, you might want to go through those emails and download them after the live. I'm not taking them down today or over the weekend or anything like that, but I am going to take them down and give you incentive to push you to actually get through the downloads accordingly. So if you did do the challenge, I'm going to just be looking back and forth to look at any comments that I have coming through. If you did do the challenge, I want you to let me know what day was the toughest. Was it day 4 or was it day 5? Because that is the one that day 4 and day 5. I can't even talk. I pre-specified that those particular days are going to be the longest when you signed up for the challenge on spendingdiet.financialgarden.com. I had specifically put that day 4 and day 5 was going to take quite a bit of time to get through. So maybe you don't think it was day 4 or day 5. Maybe you thought it was day 2. Trying to figure out if your purchases were planned or unplanned. So let me know. Drop it in the chat on if you think what day was the hardest. I would say for me, like when I first started doing this, it was definitely day 5. When trying to just look at all my spending and everything, even though I do track that, but day 5 would be for me the hardest if I'm not used to doing that and pulling out, looking at my online accounts and seeing how my spending is going. That by far would have been the hardest day for me. So just curious to see if it's the same for you. You may not even know about day 5 yet if you haven't made it there. And I'm gonna just check a few things, see if I see any comments. And I also sent the link to people during the challenge to just let them know that I was going live, because I didn't post about it on social media because I really wanted it to make sense for people who did the challenge. So let me see if everything happened according to plan. With everyone getting the email reminding them letting them know that I was going live this morning. And if you open up day 5, I think I sent the link in there and was reminding you all that I was going last day. Okay, so I did see that those did go out. So I'm just going to get back to So day 5, you're still working on day 5. Okay, day 5 is tough. So that's why I'm gonna leave the links if you haven't gotten to day 5 yet. You may still be stuck on day 4. Um, but bear with me because it works. So let me just recap the days. So day 1 was all about you looking at what your recent purchases were. So how do you spend your money when you're swiping your debit or credit card? And listing the most 10 recent purchases that were not bills. So if your recent purchases on your debit card were, paying your mortgage or paying your insurance, like I don't want you to put those on there. I want to see what you're spending at stores, like actual purchases, and list those out and identify what category those purchases are in. So day 1, you got 2 worksheets. You got a worksheet for you to list out what you are spending your money on and listing the amount. And then the second page was all about you identifying the category. And if you made it to day 5, you know the importance because every day builds on each other. So after day 1 and brand day 2 was a reality check. I'm glad to hear there was a reality check. That was the point. I didn't want you to do it all in one day because if you did it all at one time, it could be overwhelming, like looking at what you spent and then trying to think about whether it was planned or unplanned. But I wanted that day 2 to really be a reality check of where your money is going that you're not even thinking about. And those swipes add up. So for me, I put some examples on there, but it's hard for me to look at my recent swipes because I use cash for a lot of things. Like if you are familiar with my story, I paid off $80,000 of debt before the age of 30. So one of the main reasons I was able to do that was going to cash envelopes. I know with COVID, a lot of places weren't taking cash and they didn't have coins or whatever, but that's just something I still stick with is trying to use cash because if you go into the store with a certain amount, you can't overspend. And I'm not a huge online shopper, but when I looked at my purchases that were not in cash, it was because I was on Amazon. So if you follow me on Instagram, you've seen that that's what I was saying on day 1. It looks like you're making a lot of Amazon purchases. So day 2 was looking at all about what was planned or unplanned. And then day 3 was the fun part for me on like, what do you want to accomplish over the next 12 months? Right. So I put 3 buckets for you on the chat, like during the challenge, but actually I use 4 buckets and I'll get to that in a second. But where do you want to go this year? So events. Whose birthday is it that's going out of town? Whose milestone birthday? Any graduations, baby showers, weddings, any events that you have. What if it's a conference that you want to go to? I wanted you to list out all those events on day 3. Personal and financial goals. If it's fitness, do you need to hire a trainer? Do you need to join a gym? Do you want to actually pay for like a nutritionist? Do you want to pay for some like meal plan subscription service? So these are some things that I wanted you to think about and put on family and personal goals. And then the third bucket was your financial goals. Do you want to invest more? Do you want to save more? And it was just pretty much putting everything you may put on your vision board on writing it out on a document. So that to me was probably the easiest day of thinking about what you want. Now, I know if you have kids, that can be overwhelming because your kids could have football, have cheer, and you're like, do I put those events on the sheet? No, like the events were just for major events, not for like routine football or cheer or kids' birthday parties. Because if I know some parents spend like every other weekend, well, pre-COVID, every other weekend going to kids' birthday parties because they wanted people in their kids' classroom to come to their kids' birthday party. So that if you listed all that out, you would never have any room. So day 4 was finding out the cost. Now, this could take some time if you really put some thought into this. So whatever you listed, I wanted you to think about what was the cost. So if you have a wedding, do you plan on buying something for that wedding? Is it located in the state you reside in? If you're traveling, what's going to be the plane cost? If you know you want to do something special for your birthday and it's in December and we're doing this in January, how much is it going to cost? So it involves you getting your Googles on and seeing the cost of that. And day 5 was all about bringing it together and looking at your bills and your current spending and listing it out in all the categories on that worksheet. So that's why I said day 5 was tough. And then also is like a drum roll to see if you make enough money to hit your goals. And then ending off on if you do not, what the gap is, side hustle to get there, right? Or thinking about ways to increase your income because now you have a goal. So when you do vision boards, it's all fun. You're cutting out pictures in the magazine, but you're not thinking about the cost of things and how you're truly going to get there. So this 5-day challenge really breaks down how I do that. So I don't just say I want to invest more. I'm like, okay, what am I contributing in my 401k this year? Okay, am I going to max it out? Am I contributing the max to my Roth IRA? Like those are the 2 ways I start with investing. And then I'm like, okay, do I need to put any money into financial garden? Do I need to put any of my own money into my real estate company to buy more property? So that is the way I go for investing. So it's very specific. And then I'm like spending time trying to figure out what those numbers will be. Same thing for events. I'm looking at my flights early in the year and figuring out, okay, how much is this going to cost? Am I staying in a hotel if I'm visiting friends? If I'm staying with friends, if I'm doing a friend visit or whatever. So if you know me, you know this is the truth. So if you ask me, for example, I do have a few friends' birthdays who are in October. If they ask me to do something like last minute in October to go on a trip, like a real vacation, like booking a resort and all that stuff, the answer is more than likely going to be no if you ask me in August because I've already had my planned trips and paid for it in advance. And so it may not be any wiggle room in my plan to spend because I may have a trip in November. So I really do have a lot of thinking into it. And I know a lot of people don't forward think like that. And some people are like, Tasha, you do way too much because I'm not thinking about where I'm going 10 months from now. But that's how I'm able to travel so much. And that's how I'm able to hit my goals. And if you do not know, I took my mom to Hawaii for free. Now I was able to do this by thinking ahead and travel hacking with using my credit cards, which is not something I'm promoting, like use credit cards to be able to get free trips, but it was strategic. I knew I had a lot of home repairs coming up. So I knew which credit cards to place it on to be able to maximize my points. And so we were in Hawaii, I want to say for 7 nights, 6 nights, I think, in 7 days, and hotel and flights were free. And Hawaii is not cheap. So being strategic on that, I was able to go to Essence Fest with my travel expenses paid, travel hacking. So again, that strategic forward thinking is what got me there. So what do I actually use to make sure I stay on track? Everything was manual, right? So you're writing stuff down. So now it's like, now what? How do I stay on this if I want to really make this happen all throughout the year, tracking this, right? You could carry around the paper and do it that way. But I wanna I'm gonna see if I can share my screen because I'm used to doing this. Usually when I do it on the other app connecting to this, I'm able to share. Let's see how to do it just with YouTube. Nope, that's not it. Let's see. Okay, I don't think I can actually share my screen the way I normally do, but I will say I use a workbook. It's automated. So I'm able to, on my phone, I have my spreadsheet on what I want to do, and I'm tracking this. So, for example, my day 1 that you have in there, I have it on a spreadsheet. So I'm looking at this, updating it, and it's automatically calculating for me. And then I actually have a 4th category on day 1, and it's called sinking funds because I'm thinking about if I need to get tires, if I know if I have car repairs, and I'm thinking about if I'm going to do some major Christmas shopping, I'm putting money away from that throughout the year. So I'm really owning my money and telling my dollars where to go. And so people who really have a handle on finances, they do a lot of planning. So I know you may be thinking like, do we really take all of that? Yes. So for me to get over $200,000 in my investment accounts alone, like it wasn't because I just was like, oh, I'll just see what sticks every year. You know what I mean? It was about me being strategic and saying like, this money is going here. So if you feel like this is overwhelming, trust me, you are not alone. And even for me, and I deal with numbers all the time, when I'm doing my 12-month, this doesn't happen in a day. It happens over a couple weeks. I start in August before the previous year and thinking about what do I have coming up, what's important to me, right? So having it laid out on a spreadsheet that's doing the math for me and I can actually pull up all the time makes it easier. So I wish I could share it with you, but I cannot figure out how to do it on here. This is going to bug me. So I'm going to drop in the chat box for you all, like how the course that I created for this on how I am able to use my automated spreadsheet. So drop this in here now so you guys can check this course out. And I have a promo code for you all to use specifically because you did the 5-day challenge to get $20 off this course. But I'm dropping this in there now so you guys can see it. And I don't know if it's going to display it on the screen, but that is the link. So I created a course. It's 2 hours, but it's broken down very detailed. And you can preview this by clicking that link and walking you through how to hold yourself accountable throughout the 12 months. And it's me going way more in detail with examples with numbers. So I know if you overspend, you're probably thinking like, I don't need to buy a course. And I didn't need to do this challenge to see that I spend way more money than I'm making. But in the course, I'm giving you ideas on how to circumvent that and how to still push to reach your goals and how you are tracking to see that so you can still make stuff happen. Because when I set my financial goals at the beginning of the year, there is a gap a lot of times. So I'm thinking, okay, what do I need to go hard in to make more money to be able to hit this goal? Maybe I need to move some things back to be able to accomplish it. For example, if I want to put $6,000 in one of my investment accounts, and I know that in January, I have $1,500 marked throughout the year of how to get to that $6,000. But if I know overall for the year, it's a shortage, I'm not going to say, oh my God, I can't reach that $6,000 goal. I'm going to push that out to the later part of the year, and I'm going to go hard trying to earn more money, right? And I'm going to think about strategically ways that I can earn extra money, side hustling, or maybe thinking about another revenue stream in my business. How can I really maximize this, right? Do I have equity in my properties to take out and reinvest and buy another property? Do I want to take that equity out and do something else with it, invest in something else? So this is like how I'm thinking forward thinking. So this course walks you through that and it's automated. So the best thing about the course is a consult with me and includes a consult with me. So if you're like, I'm really struggling, like I'm still hearing everything you're saying and I tried, but like I just need a little bit of hand holding and another eyes on it. This course includes that. You get to do a 20-minute video call with me going through your automated workbook, meaning going through your agenda and going through your finances and seeing where that gap is. And that in itself, a lot of times you just need to have that conversation with someone else to see how you can really hit your goals and then having someone hold you accountable. So what that consult looks like is you have to come in, not come in because we don't know anything in person during this pandemic, but what it looks like is you sending me what you have listed and me reviewing and prepping me for a consult and me giving you advice along the way so we can maximize that 20 minutes. And then the course is including this workbook for you, meaning that it walks you through everything that you did in the challenge, but in a way that you don't have to physically write it down. And then I also, like I said before, is the sinking fund category. So you can stay on track for like plan maintenance. So the course is normally $199, but I'm giving you a promo code to use diet to get $50 off the course. So the course is $150 because I'm giving you the promo code to use. And the consult along with me, an hour is more than that. So because I really want to make sure that you hit your goals and you really accomplish what you want to set out, I did include that 20-minute consult in the course just because I want you to really hit that goal, hit your goals, all your goals, right? You did this 5-day challenge. Some of you may feel defeated because you're like, I see a gap. And now I'm overwhelmed on how to really get there. But the workbook will hold you accountable throughout the year because you're scrolling and looking at it on your phone. So I wish I could share my screen. I will note for next time when I'm doing live directly through YouTube on looking this up before I go live. But I did drop the link in there, and the promo code is DIET, DIET, to get $50 off the course. And the major thing with that is having a review with me on how to get there too. And if you're like, okay, well, I know there's a gap there, and I can't side hustle myself to death to get to that gap. We can maybe talk about some baby step tax strategies, right? On, are you maximizing your tax refund if you're getting one? Should you be getting a tax refund? If you're a high earner, what are some ways you can work to maximize your tax benefits, right? Now, I'm not a tax strategist, but I know a lot of people who do. I know if you're doing this course and you don't understand tax basics, then I know that in that consult, I can give you some tips that you probably have no idea about. Now, if you're watching this and you are very good with taxes, then that part of the tax in the consult will be very basic for you, wouldn't be helpful. But if you're thinking like, what else can I get out of this, or what am I not thinking of, that is where the consult comes into play. So I'm just going to say, again, I'm looking at some comments, and I still don't know how to share on here, y'all. Like, I feel like old lady who don't know how to use social media because I can't figure out how to show the comments on the screen. But if you watch any of my Financial Garden lives, you know I'm usually sharing my screen and showing comments and different things like that. If you have any questions, drop them in the chat so I can see them before I go off this live. Again, if you just joining the live or you're watching the replay of the live, go back to your emails and join the Facebook group to continue this conversation, right? So if you're like, I don't know if the course is for me, but I still want a sense of community, you need to be around like-minded people. Like if you know anything about my story, when I was on steadfast on paying off debt, when I got involved in real estate, I didn't do this with my same group of friends. I got to people who were trying to hit those goals and I can learn from. And if you join a group or a tribe, like I would like to say, you're going to be with people who are thinking along the way. So you can see somebody else that was struggling on day 4 and you won't feel alone, right? And I'm telling you, yeah, it was a struggle for me, but you may be thinking like, clearly you are teaching us. So clearly you got it together, but I need somebody to really understand my pain in the moment. That is what the group is for, and to give other suggestions that I may not think of, right? If you are a parent and you're trying to figure out how to finagle between different activity stuff with your kids when you're looking at day 5 and going through your costs, that is where the group comes into play. It can be some sharing peer to peer. So I want to say thank you, Brandy, for talking about day 2. And Tanya, you got it. All right. The link is there. Natalie, yes, Natalie went through the course. She was a part of a few people that I had did a beta group to make sure that everything in this course made sense for not just for me, because I use it all the time, but I had to make it pretty for you all and take all my little random notes out that I worked through to get there. And she thought the course was just phenomenal. So I did have a beta group to test out, meaning a test group, a focus group, to see what would be most impactful for the common user who is not financially savvy. They don't think about numbers morning, noon, and night like me. So if you have any questions, make sure you drop them in the chat. You can also find me on social media. You can message me. The best place for me to respond is Instagram. On Instagram's direct messages with Financial Guardian. I'm on Facebook, but not a whole lot when it comes to messages. Like my messages, I kind of ignore them on Facebook for whatever reason. I tend to get a lot of spam, so I don't really check that. But if you message me on Instagram, you probably will get a response directly from me. And you can also email hello@financialguardian.com. I'm going to put that in the chat as well. If you have any questions about anything that I said, and you're like, I'm not trying to drop it in any chat, and I'd rather just talk to you directly, I'm also going to put that in the chat as well. So thank you all for joining me live, and hopefully the challenge was a success for you, and consider getting the course so you can make sure you stay on track. And I'll see you at the next challenge, because I'm going to have another challenge in March. And if you are a parent of teens, I have a very helpful financial challenge coming up for you and your teenagers. And just stay tuned because I'm going to have challenges for parents to do specifically with their children and teens throughout the year and stuff for you. It's going to be a back and forth between just stuff for adults and something with parents and their children, and then also for educators. If you're a teacher watching this or you work with children, there's going to be some challenges for you throughout the year. So this is what I really want to do throughout the year, is provide more digital teachings for you. So I will see you at the next challenge, and make sure you share. If you did this challenge, make sure you share the link and get your friends to join as well. So have a good weekend. Bye.